Alright, everybody knows that some cards are good, but did you know that there are some cards that are good that you don't know about? That's what Big Cardboard doesn't want you to know, brother. Alright, you guys are in for a treat today. It's 5:51 a.m. Everybody gets all psyched about the Chase Mythics and opening showcase Ragavans, but for the majority of us, we aren't mass box opening, we aren't even box opening, really. We're pack opening at best. So let's talk about some cheap singles to keep an eye on. And if you end up liking the video, feel free to like, subscribe, heck, blackmail your neighbors into subscribing, do a Nigerian print scheme to get people to subscribe, or if you want to skip all that nonsense, you can keep me caffeinated, buy me a coffee at the link in the description. I'm always keeping my eye out for certain effects as I'm reviewing the sets, you know what I mean? If they get reprints, functional reprints, similar effects, I build commander decks around a variety of archetypes. I have 28 decks in paper. So when a card like Monastery Mentor gets reprinted, I get pretty psyched. I want to delve into it a little bit. Now listen, this isn't financial advice. It's still pre-release for gosh sakes. So many of these may go way lower in 3 months when everyone is salivating about Lord of the Rings or whatever. Now I already did a short video on Hoarding Broodlord and why I think it's good, but here's a little recap for you. This thing's 8 mana. It's a dragon, 7/6, has Convoke and Flying. When it enters the battlefield, you can search your library for a card, exile it, and then shuffle. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may play it. Spells you cast from exile have Convoke. This is Rune-Scarred Demon. Costs 1 more but has Convoke. If you have a board of rat tokens or whatever, you can sneak this out for cheap. But listen man, just reanimate it, get it into the yard and get it out. It's a reanimator target that gets you whatever you need out of your deck. There's also the psychological devastation you're going to wreak on your opponents who have to stare at a face-down exiled card ticking time bomb over there. At present, this card is only $1.31. I mean, it's not a huge investment. And we got Revenge of the Azaleth over here. 1 and a green for a legendary artifact. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on an artifact or creature you control, that many +1/+1 counters are put on it instead. It's got 1 and a green tap, put a +1/+1 counter on target artifact or creature you control, activate only as the sorcery has cycling for 2. So ask yourself this question, would you replace Hardened Scales with this? Because it's a functional reprint basically, costs 1 more mana but does a ton more for your deck. You can cycle it away if you don't need it, and it can put effectively 2 counters on an artifact or creature at sorcery speed. In a green inclusive counters deck, this is pretty much all gas. Sometimes you need a counter on your commander or a mana dork like Gyre Sage or Marwyn the Nurturer, and this gets it done. Sorak, dude. Sorak and Goreclaw. This is $1.69. It has trample. It gives your entire team trample. When a creature ETBs, put a +1 counter on it, and it gains haste. This does a lot for 6 mana, dude. I mean, it's a credible combat threat that makes every subsequent creature into a surprise threat. This goes in a ton of decks. Right now it's $1.69. We got a blast from the past, dude. This guy's representing the Hair Club for men. Monastery Mentor, 2 and a white for a creature human monk. It's a 2/2 with prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 white monk creature token with prowess. That counts artifacts and enchantments, dude. I know this is a reprint. This card is less played in many formats now, but it's still a bomb in a storm spellslinger deck. Each of the little guys have prowess, and that gets out of hand pretty quick. It's a payoff for those 20-minute spell storm turns. Used to be like $1 billion. Now it's less than $3 currently. I don't have a deck for this, but this is a little PSA if you ever wanted one but didn't want to pull the trigger. How about Chrome Host Seed Shark? It's 2 and a blue for a Phyrexian Shark. It's a 2/4 with flying. Why is this shark flying? Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, incubate X, where X is the spell's mana value. The incubate mechanic is not so great, but this has some serious potential, especially if you're casting spells for free. This can make really big tokens. Triggers off artifacts and enchantments. This has a potential to be a house, currently about 250 or so. I'm a little bit confused by the art. It's like a wasp-infested tobacco worm. Go ahead and Google that, you'll vomit, then thank me later. How about Ortheon, dude? This guy's out there, his mom's like, what should we name our son? And his dad's like, definitely not Ortheon. It's 3 and a red for a legendary creature, human soldier. It's got 1 in a red and tap, create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control. It gains haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step, activate only as a sorcery. And then it has 6 red, 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 tap it, create 5 tokens, blah, 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 same text. This is $2 or so right now, but the first ability is super useful. It sucks that he comes out and just sits there for a turn before he can do anything, but if it gets haste somehow, it gets better. I mean, come on, we're in red. I'm always on the lookout for these effects. The second ability is Rite of Replication, but you sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. Interesting card. I like it in certain decks where I want that effect, including my Wine Mom deck, which you should also check out. And you got the old Guardian out here doing expert level voguing with 4 swords. It's 2 and a white for a creature angel. It's a 3/3 with flying. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 other target creature or artifact you control, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So this is another way to reset your battlefield effects. It's efficient, it's splashable, but you aren't dodging removal with this. It's not setting the world on fire. The nice thing is that this is an ETB, so you can reset it as well if you have mass blink like in a Brago deck. Just another tool in the Blink ETB toolbox. I like this for stat line and efficiency. Cool card. Now this guy, the Terror of Tawashi, 2 and a black for a creature Phyrexian Ogre. It's a 4/3 Death Touch. Whenever this guy attacks, you may pay 3 and a black. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's a Phyrexian addition to its other types. This is an interesting card just for the fact that it's repeatable recursion. 4 mana and 4 mana for the creature. It's not terrible, but it's not great. But it would fit the bill in a budget deck where you want that repeatable recursion and a creature-based deck. Death Touch is like lame evasion. Not sure why this fella's waiting around with a Spirit Dragon, but that's Portland for you, buddy. And you got old Johnny Juggles over here. The Kamia Whispered Hopes, 2 and a green for a creature spirit. It's a 1/1. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters will be put on a permanent you control, that many +1/+1 counters are put on that permanent instead. +1 has tap, add X mana of any one color, where X is the Kamia of Whispered Hope's power. This is bonkers. Works incredibly well with the aforementioned Azaleth. It's an uncommon and it's 3 mana. Those are the drawbacks. But the ceiling on this is very high. This effect seems to be cropping up more and more, twice in this set. I would just play this as a counters deck with hardened scales and those types of effects. Oh man, don't enter this breach, brother. You're going to be paying alimony before you know it. So this is 5 black for a sorcery. Each player mills 10 cards. For each player, choose a creature or planeswalker card in that player's graveyard. Put those cards onto the battlefield under your control. Then each creature you control becomes a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. This is amazing. Fantastic in decks leaning into Phyrexians, but it's just a big dumb commander card as well. It hits all players, even you can build into this. This card doesn't have to be milled this turn either that you're returning. In a Phoenix deck, Captain Enguthrode deck, or any deck using mills, a way to gain advantage. I don't understand why this is complete bulk, but whatever. Plus the art is a little bit risky business. Looks like some kind of ovarian problem to me, brother. And we have Archpriest of the Shadows, 3 black for a creature human warlock. It's a 4/4 with backup 1. Also has Death Touch. When this creature deals combat damage to a player or battle, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is an interesting reanimation spell. I like this mechanic, and finding a spot for this would be fun. Plus, it's just a cute little lady doing a K-pop dance in the middle of the invasion. Oh my god, the invasion got my video. We're gonna have to reshoot. This card looks like an outtake from Dance Moms or some kind of Disney movie where the kids dance at each other. You got Voldarin Thrillseeker, 2 and a red for a creature vampire warrior. It's a 1/1 with backup 2. It has 1, sacrifice this creature, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. The backed up creature gets that last ability. This is pretty nice in any deck running high power creatures that you're sacrificing anyways, like decks running Malignus and Greven. Alright, this card is a little niche, but I like it. It's Omen Hawker, 1 blue mana for a creature, Cephalid Advisor. It's a 1/1. Has tap, add colorless, and a blue. Spend this mana only to activate abilities. This is a neat little mana dork, specifically useful if your commander has an activated ability, and it's integral to your game plan. Very niche for sure, but I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, and it's worth a mention. Overall, the mechanics in the set, primarily Convoke, Incubate, and Backup, seem not so amazing. I'm underwhelmed in general, but these are some commander cards I think will do well in your decks for the future. Some are pretty niche, but that's the great thing about Commander, you can find spots for those niche cards, and most of these are just pennies. If I had to pick a top unsung hero from the set, it would probably be Breach the Multiverse. May it reign forever in ignominious superfluousness. Sneaky G from Better Commander, signing off.